Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, I guess it's time for a rude awakening. You know, the fact is, conservatives have not been taking this issue seriously enough. We've been calling out the media bias forever, the media and social media bias. We've been saying how bad it was and how bad it continues to be, but nobody really took it seriously. What have we seen over the last 8 years? A couple strongly worded letters from Ted Cruz? I think a lot of Republicans deluded themselves into thinking that this behavior was only happening because of Donald Trump. You know, it was an exception for the evil orange man. But of course that was never the case, and that was never going to remain the case. And now I guess it's wake-up call. This is what happens with leftist fascists. You give them an inch, they take a mile. I guess the neocons are finally waking up that the issue is much deeper than just Donald Trump, than just a reaction to the orange man. It's time to take this stuff seriously. And hopefully after this little incident here with CBS News, that's exactly what's going to happen. We now have a second CBS News event where they were caught editing answers from their interviews in an effort to protect Kamala Harris. The mainstream media has become an arm of the globalist establishment and left-wing DNC establishment. Hopefully people are finally waking up. Hopefully Speaker Johnson is really waking up. Let me show you guys what happened here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we previously spoke about what happened with 60 Minutes. They did a sit-down interview with Kamala Harris, and instead of releasing the whole thing unedited, they edited her answers and even took some of her answers to unrelated questions and then snipped it in to answer another question. I guess because her actual answer to the question was so horrible they couldn't run with it, so they decided the best course of action is to straight up manipulate what she said in a corrupt fake news propaganda campaign. That was bad enough, and now here they are the next week engaging in the same kind of behavior. Look at this. Speaker Mike Johnson on Twitter writes, CBS has been under fire for selectively editing their interview to promote Democrats and undermine Republicans. Yesterday, they chose to cut 5 important minutes out of my nearly 15-minute interview. Fox and Friends elaborated a little bit in their morning coverage of the topic.
I assure you.
So, Speaker Johnson, I texted him, just asked him about that exchange last night, and he said, did you see CBS? And I said, no. So I put on Face the Nation. He says they edited his video. He says he'll never agree to it again.
Wow, just
he
like
said
60
they edited.
minutes.
He says they edited. He goes, on Face the Nation, it was even more direct, but they edited it out. He goes, I did the interview to make, they made Kamala look better. They edited my video to try to make me look less effective. I will never agree to a non-live interview with CBS again.
Journalistic malpractice. It's 60 Minutes did it. The flash, the
CBS
cuts,
again.
And we know they edit videos because we've seen it last week what they did to Kamala. Completely took a question and lashed into another answer. I don't know if that was ever okay in media.
But to the speaker's point, Brian, that's why he will never do anything that is not live. That's the problem for us. We do everything live. Mm-hmm. We would like to fix stuff. We can't.
You remember Trump said that you know you're good when they take your long answer and they have to edit you down.
That's
versus
right.
Kamala, they have to edit her up.
And then here comes Speaker Mike Johnson with the receipts. He says that he recently traveled to North Carolina and victims of Hurricane Helene told him that nearly 2 weeks after landfall, the Biden-Harris administration still had not provided them with all the resources they desperately needed. But CBS selectively edited out entirely this first-hand perspective.
So that's a different accounting than this 2% you say was distributed.
Yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. The rescue and recovery effort's still going on, and then we address the rest of it.
So that's a different accounting than this 2% you say was distributed.
Yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. And when I was there on the ground, and you should go, I mean, bring the cameras and talk to the people there. They'll tell you, don't take politicians' words for this or the administration's word. Talk to the people there on the ground. They had not been provided the resources almost 2 weeks out from the storm that they desperately needed. And when I was there, 13 days post the storm hitting that state, people are still being rescued. They're stuck in the higher elevations in the mountains because the roads are down and all the rest. So they need every available resource and all hands on deck. The rescue and recovery effort's still going on, and then we address the rest of it.
And there's this. Apparently CBS also doesn't want you to hear about Virginia Governor Youngkin, so non-American citizens can't vote there.
You know that it is against the law for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. That's established law.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But here's the problem. There's a number of states that are not requiring proof of citizenship when illegals or non-citizens register to vote. We know that's happening.
But respectfully, Speaker,
everybody should want the law to be followed.
You know that it is against the law for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. That's established law.
Of course it is. Of course it is, but here's the problem. There's a number of states that are not requiring proof of citizenship when illegals or non-citizens register to vote. We know that's happening. Look, Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, I was going to say, he issued an executive order to clean up their voting rules heading into the election. Less than 30 days out, a couple of days ago, the Biden administration, Department of Justice, Biden-Harris administration, sued the governor and the Commonwealth of Virginia to try to prevent them from cleaning up their voter rolls. See, that kind of thing creates a lot of doubt and concern in the minds of a lot of the American people. Why would they do that? Everybody should want the law to be followed. Yeah.
Again, they cut his answer. He spoke about illegal migration as well.
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. It's not me undermining it. It's the actions of the Biden-Harris administration in some of these states. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote under federal law.
So if your issue is with certain governors, shouldn't you be talking to them?
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. It's not me undermining it. It's the actions of the Biden-Harris administration in some of these states. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote under federal law. But the states have prohibited. We passed the SAVE Act, in the House. The SAVE Act says you've got to have proof of citizenship before you register to vote. And Chuck Schumer and the Democrats blocked that in the Senate. We could have prevented this. The questions that people have about that. But the Democrats chose not to. They opened the border wide. A lot of people theorized that was so that they could have non-citizens to vote. These are realities, Margaret. I wish it weren't true, but that's the concern that people have. And in Wisconsin, for example, some of the counties are. It is law, but that's correct, but we have to make sure the law is followed, and that is the whole point. That has always been the whole point of the SAVE Act and all the measures that we've tried to ensure. I believe, by my count, we have about 16 million illegal aliens in the country since Mayorkas and Harris and Biden opened the border wide, and because of that, there's concern, because those people are distributed all around the country, as you know. There's concern some of those people will try to participate in the elections. Look, some of our House races, I believe the Republicans are going to win the House, grow the House majority, win the Senate and the White House. But in some of our House races, I have a colleague who was elected by 6 votes in 2020. Some of these are decided by hundreds or a few thousands of votes. So if you have non-citizens participating against the law, and you have no mechanism in some states to stop it, that is the root of so much of the concern. And of course, in California, they have ballot harvesting, right? Ballot harvesting is notorious for opening the door for fraud. In Wisconsin, they're going to put, in some counties, unmanned ballot boxes in public parks again.
And so really there's only 2 words: corruption and propaganda. That's what we're seeing. Forever people ridiculed Donald Trump for pointing the finger and claiming fake news with a lot of his interactions with the media, but boy did that term age well, now didn't it? This is fake frickin' news. That's what it is. It's frankly unbelievable. The level of corruption, the brazen corruption, is unfrickin' believable. This is widespread, malicious journalistic malpractice, and it's coming from the people who are endorsing all of these candidates who keep talking about misinformation. The fact here is that the mainstream media has been totally co-opted. It's been compromised. Journalism no longer exists. These networks don't engage in journalism. They're simply arms of the Democrat establishment. And it's time for Republicans to seriously wake up. I don't know what it's going to take. Some people are saying regulation. I'm not so sure that's the answer. To create another government body that tries to police these things sounds like a recipe for disaster. Look at other nations who have those kinds of government bodies and state-run media. It doesn't fix the problem. Usually it makes it a whole lot worse. I don't know what the solution is, but what I do know is that Republican politicians have to start taking this seriously. Maybe there's not a catch-all cure, sign a piece of paper and all the corruption goes away, but the least we can do is continue to be vocal. Forever it's felt as though you have obscure people like me and other independent content creators pointing the finger and saying, hey, look at what's going on, but most of that is happening in an echo chamber and it's happening online. It's time to take it to the masses, take it to the mainstream. It's time to engage in widespread information campaigns to get the information out there, and most importantly, to educate the people so they understand what's really going on, and this is the first step. We have years and years and years of receipts. Pack it all up, make hard-hitting documentaries, show up on these news segments, and stop playing ball. Expose them, or you know what? Like Mike Johnson's doing, never show up again. The simple fact is, these news networks need conservatives. They love the press passes and the access that they get at all these big events, at the RNC, at the inauguration, yada, 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 the list goes on. Well, maybe it's time to cut ties. No debates, no interviews, and just watch and see how quickly they come crying back. Honestly, though, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, so maybe it's best for me to take a step back and frankly stop talking At the end of the day, the only thing that I could do here, the only impact that I could have is exposure. And so there you have it. More blatant media corruption right in front of your eyes. More to add to the endless pile that keeps stacking up. Wake up, people. The mainstream media is not your friend and is not looking out for you. They're paid operatives. They're representing some sort of elitist interest. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.